Welcome in, everyone. It's been a good minute since I've done a video, and so just give me 1 second. I'm going to get us some. Gonna get some sounds going on. We got add some highlights. All right. So today we're going to talk about the 48th gene key, which is the wonder of uncertainty. We're going to talk about its shadow, its gift, and the city, which is the shadow of inadequacy, the gift of resourcefulness, and the city of wisdom. This is the codon ring of matter, which relates to the 18th, the 46th, the 48th, and the 57th gene key. So when we talk about the EQ key and the IQ key, those are two different aspects of childhood. So the SQ key that you see in your Venus sequence is your first 7 years from utero until the age of 7. Your IQ key is from age 7 to 14. Your EQ key is the age of 14 to 21. So those aspects from the ages of pretty much 7 to 21 are the second and third phase of your childhood. So when we talk about the shadow of inadequacy in the EQ and the IQ, there's no darker place represented anywhere in the human DNA than the 48th shadow. This shadow gives rise to one of human beings or the human race's deepest fears. The fear that we're inherently inadequate. Human beings, as a rule, have no idea of their true capabilities. When you can look around and see individual examples of great men and women who have displayed remarkable gifts and who have sometimes achieved miraculous things. However, humanity as it is today is not waked from its dark dreams. When we stand at the cusp of the greatest turning points of our evolutionary history, and each of us will have to look deeply into this primal fear if we're to make a great leap that now lies before us. We talk about human beings' greatest fears being one of them, this one in particular, being the shadow of inadequacy. Like, there's things going on, in, like, just as an example, right now, things going on in the world right now that a lot of us feel like we may be inadequate to stop or change, right? This coming election is one of those things that is also looming over our heads. A lot of people are awakening. We're seeing through what is illusion. We're seeing the truth in the Maya. This key would still make the strongest of most dedicated and devoted warriors feel a sense of inadequacy when you're dealing with this aspect of this shadow. I understand it and understand it very well because for let's talk about human design for a second, I'll just use myself as an example, in the open head center, right? When you look at a person's human blueprint or design blueprint for the holographic aspect of the blueprint, when you look at my chart, you can see that in the head center, everything is opened. There's nothing defined. That means the certain gates that I have in my soul definition split require me to have those transpersonal programming partners. And one of them, for me specifically, is gate 48. So, gate 48 and gate 20 in my small split, this affects me very deeply. So, as would any of you that have an open, undefined aspect or connection to the 48th gate or any other gate, right? So, when you look at your holographic blueprint, you can see where you have open centers that require us to have programming partners outside of ourselves. This means that in a whole, we are not alone in that sense. We are together and we are working always with each other in the all or the collective sense. So we all need transpersonal programming partners outside of ourselves, right? Transpersonal programming partners would be people like our parents, our brothers and sisters, our soul tribe, our lovers, our friends, our coworkers, etc. It could be anybody that would be placed into your quantum field or frequency for some reason or another, which the underlying reason would be for programming. So when we talk about the collective's dark dreams that the collective has not entirely awakened from, we're talking about being able to stand at one of the greatest cusps in history, human history, where each of us have to look deeply at the primal fear that we hold if we're to make a great leap, right? So we're talking about during the times of great collective crisis. Right here in this collective process, in this crisis process that we're experiencing, I'm also being told on an intuitive level that the hurricanes and natural disasters are being manipulated. Okay? This is presenting us with a grand crisis of a collective of we not only have to learn aspects of ourselves in order to connect with Mother Nature, but going a step further and understanding why our spirit guides or source channels or connections are asking us to go deeper within to get outside and connect with the elements all around, because you will have to start using your own abilities from that dark place of fear to start moving with the energies. So when we're talking about performing great miraculous things and believing in the impossible, right, is to overcome the shadow of feeling like you're inadequate, feeling like you are not able to do anything, right? Feeling frozen in time. How we're facing this absolute crisis in humanity right now is namely the destruction of our own environment. So when we're talking about the potential of the 48th gene key here, right now, in the codon ring of matter, urging us to dig deeper into our souls for collective and practical resolutions. This gene key activation right now, we have 2 more days of it, guys. I actually know. Today's the 7th. Today's the last day of this activation here in the codon ring of matter with gene key 48. We're talking about the wonder of an uncertainty. Where are we headed? When we're talking about the crisis of humanity and evolution that we're facing right now and the destructions of our own environments, this thing is asking us to go deeper and dig deeper into our souls for the collective and practical resolutions. In the years ahead, we're going to have to understand the 48th gene key and understand the hold that the shadow has over the collective right now. We have to understand its role. For those of you that have the 6th line, the role model lines in your human design, you'll understand this more by understanding how roles begin and how they end. If you understand this from the human child perspective, when a human child is in its imaginative play state, there is a role that the child is imagining it is a part of. And then in playtime, when that role ends, there is no exception to the rule when it comes to the way the process works from one role to another, right? When we're looking at the greatest crises that we've ever faced as far as humanity, communion, service, standing up against, great odds and coming together as a single entity, the nature of this gene key and the source of its power is rooted in communion and service. It's rooted in communion, communication, and service to others. When we talk about the potential that this has in facing great crisis and being able to pull together as a unit, this is one of the keys that govern the developmental cycles that we develop as children. So when they talk about the imprint that comes into our second 7-year cycle, which is age 7 to 14, the cycle relates to our emotional development, and how explains how our feelings of inadequacy begin. The second cycle that we incarnate to, this is when our emotional and our astral body are taking its formation as you are still formulating your own incarnation. The astral body and the ethereal body. This is a prevalent time in a human being's life when they are absorbing and feeling the patterns of parents and the world at large, and those imperceptibly imprints with those imperceptible or imperceivable blueprint activations within our own aura. This is when the human digestion starts to, um, the shadow of inadequacy starts to seep into the genes to undermine us as a deep sense of emotional inadequacy. So when we go through the tender time of puberty, society's conditioning sends us very confusing and contradictory messages about how to handle the emotional and sexual nature. So when we talk about how people have a little idea of how profound and delicate this developmental stage is for young people, and for the most part, what we're left to deal with on our own. And so as a result, this is where it's kind of hard to fathom that a child would make it out of that situation unscathed by anything, right? So this is where we talk about how, you know, if we don't know how to handle emotional states with equanimity, yeah, I don't know how to say that word. Equanimity, 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 equanimity. There it is. Integrity and clarity. We never fully enter adulthood, but we remain childlike at some level. Okay, so there is that, like what we talked about in Gene Key 46 a couple of weeks ago. I talked about how the fact that affects that the 46 shadow affects the body, and how we feel other people's projected emotions, and whether that is good or healthy, or whether it is not good and healthy. And you can feel that your body feels it, your body channels it. This is what we're talking about, like the emotional state, where people have to learn to take full responsibility for their emotions. It's kind of hard to do that when you have adults around you as a child that don't take responsibility for their emotions, or they live in some state of denial, or like when we talked about the 46 gene key, week before last, not having people around you that embody self-love. It's kind of hard to know how to do those things when you don't have people around you that are embodying those lessons as well, you know? So when we talk about knowledge that you can't take, emotional aspects that are recognized as far as being understood, or being where your emotions are seen, that is something that is intelligent and to be understood as intelligent. So like, we go through this state where being equated to rational thinking, emotional intelligence, which is EQ, that is where your EQ comes in. It's emotional quintessence, right? So your IQ is intelligence quintessence, intelligent quintessence. Your SQ is, we'll talk about that later. But anyway, um, your EQ is going to be a counterbalance to the IQ key. Most people don't learn how to take full responsibility for that, because when the emotional intelligence counteracts the intelligence of quintessence, you have to learn how to be well rounded in the intelligence of what is happening within yourself as an individual. Okay, that's how I can explain that. So, most people never learn how to take full responsibility for their emotional intelligence. Okay, um, this is what we're talking about, how the 48th shadow is responsible for creating emotionally illiterate generations. So, what we're dealing with right now in the blood content streaming of clearing content, clearing karma, clearing karma content from within the shadows of the gene keys and the gene key pool. So, if we don't know how to handle emotional states with equanimity, integrity, and clarity, we never fully enter adulthood, and to some degree, we remain childlike. We remain children. Um, Sometimes feral little children. Spirit likes to call us. But anyway, the frequency that the 48th shadow releases into the cells of your body emerge as a profound uncertainty about the future and your ability to handle it. So when it's coupled with the programming partner of Jinky 21 and the shadow of control, these two shadows program human beings to try to stay in control of every area of our lives. So this is where we create false realities. This is where we create details of timelines and systems, and those things are designed to make us feel more secure. So what happens is that the irony of that is that nothing external can take away the core fear of inadequacy. The even darker side to this shadow concerns the manipulation of this fear as a means of controlling others. So the feeling of emptiness that is experienced at the shadow frequency drives human beings to fill this inner void through acquisition of knowledge. So, but knowledge cannot take away from fear, and knowledge can't take the fear away. So, knowing that this feeling of emptiness is experienced at the shadow frequency, to try to fill this inner void through acquisition of knowledge, knowing that it can't take away the fear, is where the light and the dark side both have sharp edges. This is where you know that knowledge is a double-edged sword. This is where you know that it's time for you to have to learn how to alchemize, how to transform the light side of knowledge into wisdom, along with its counterpart, the dark side. You also have to, in the dark side of things, release yourself from the addictive nature of your own curiosity all at the same time, because curiosity kills the cat, right? We have to understand how we become addicted to knowledge as a means of distraction for false security. So we're giving ourselves a false sense of security because of the fear of inadequacy. Because if a person feels adequate, then you don't give yourself a false sense of security in that retrospect, right? This is where we have to understand that when we look at the portal of the infinite, okay, that this gene key goes simply beyond human understanding. This is where you have to look at the inner void through the acquisition of knowledge and release yourself from the addictive side of it as a means of a distraction or avoidance or false sense of security. Human beings are so adept at selling the dream of security and the fear within the masses to buy into it. So this is where all systems of knowledge based on logic promise security, and the more complex the system, the more people tend to believe it. So this often happens with modern science. The problem is not science itself, which is a wonderful tool as long as it is used in the quest for spirit or in the quest for truth. The problem is that often scientists use findings and theories used to bolster their own personal agendas and emotional inadequacies. So here, such people prefer an illusory security screen that covers reality while purporting to explain the universe we live in. So the 48th gene key is quite simply beyond human understanding, and it is a portal to the infinite, and there is nothing like infinity to raise the spectra of inadequacy in the human mind. So the original Chinese name for this archetype is called the well. So now we're getting into the 48th hexagram of I Ching. The well, when you look down the well, you have no idea how deep it is or what lies at the bottom of it. So the 48th shadow is like a bottomless black hole. It is the primal fear of feminine and was enacted in archetypal form during the great witch hunts that took place across the Middle Ages in Europe, even America. 1692, guys, the Salem witch trials. But the beginning of that started with the Maleficorum, the book document that was published about witch hunting. This is when the witch hunters went on a rampage after the Spanish Inquisition. Very nasty little ordeal there. So when we talk about the 48th shadow, we're talking about this is the fact that this is where paranoia is born. These are the men in black, okay, references. The aliens, the gods, or governments who seem to be manipulating our lives. Now this is turning up a lot right now when we're talking about what's going on in North and South Carolina with these hurricanes and the weather manipulations. I've been talking about electromagnetic pulse technology and electromagnetic light pulse technology for the last several years. I've been telling people for a long time, you're an electromagnetic being. So if you're a generator by human design, you're an electromagnetic pulse generator. So if you understand how that works in the level of science and mechanics, it's the same thing with your body, right? And the way that your aura operates. So when you talk about the manipulations of governments or fear that someone else might be in possession of knowledge that can be used to control you, of course, the true source of the fear is within, but that does not stop human beings from projecting it outside themselves onto all manners of people and phenomena. So modern science is only the arena that promises security from our deepest fears, but systemized religion, economics, education, all try to create the feeling of collective security for the people on the planet. So as long as you keep people involved in some sort of system, the deep fear moves into the background. So another major manifestation of the 48th shadow is the urge to create more and more wealth. But the urge, too, is rooted in the fear of inadequacy. So the ring of matter programs us to try to escape the fear through the material realm rather than turning inward to the source of the discomfort itself. So, however, no amount of material wealth can make us feel secure since the fear is rooted in the physical structure of our DNA. So, humans, as a part of the mystery of the universe, there are places where the mind is destined to not travel. So, every human being must eventually turn inward and look into the deepest fear, the fear of the void. When we gather our courage and make that leap, we will discover something wonderful happens. So, the void is not empty and cold, but warm, loving, and bursting with light and wonder. When we talk about the suppressive nature of this gene key, it is bland. It is that there are two types of people within the collective that carry the shadow frequency, and those who duck their heads and give in to their fears, into the repressive, and those who project their fears externally to others as the reactive. So the repressive nature of the 48th shadow forms the collective blandness of the mass consciousness. So there are the sheep whose fears are buried beneath the surface by whatever the system tells them. These are the majority of the people on our planet that fall into this category. And so this consciousness is too afraid to look into the fear within its own body. It settles into the fixed patterns given to it by society. So, of course, life arranges events in all people's lives that force them to face your fears. However, until the events take place that participate in the major awakening, the repressive nature tends to bury its head even deeper in the sand. One such as until the such period passes. The reactive nature of this gene key is unscrupulousness. So the other side of the 48th shadow is seen in those who feed the general sense of inadequacy in others. These are the people whose rage does not allow them to admit that they're also afraid. So therefore, they become victims of the system in a different way. These people use their knowledge to manipulate the fears of others while hiding behind the system. These people keep their own fear at bay by externalizing it and increase the general level of fear by their unscrupulous actions. Such behavior greatly reinforces the shadow frequency. So it's because of these people, that humanity feels the general paranoia of. And we know that there are people in positions of power throughout the system who do not care about others at all, but we cannot see and identify them. This gives us the feeling that all of society is impersonal and beyond our control. Now, let me tell you how the 48th gift comes in as a sense of, as the gift. It is the gift of resourcefulness. When all of the darkness and fear of the 48th gene key hold great hope for humanity also. And this hope mostly lies in the hands of your parents. So we've already seen how the 48th gene key governs the emotional developmental cycle of childhood. So this is where all human emotional issues are actually rooted in this phase. So it's extremely important that children between the ages of 7 and 14 are given a stable emotional environment to which they need nurturing to develop in, because the emotional or astral body is the subtle layer of human aura. It learns through the astral bodies of its parents. If a child's parents have not raised the frequency of their DNA beyond the shadow consciousness, their dysfunctional emotional patterns imprint the astral body of the child. Almost all teenagers are wounded by their parents' subtle bodies well before they ever become teenagers. So, in this psychology, we tend to think of conditioning as behavioral, and it is, but it takes a place at a far more subtle level than most psychology acknowledges. So, this is talking about when you emerge at the age of 14, your powerful teenage cycle, you either emerge whole, imbued with natural wisdom, emotional intelligence, and internal stability, or you emerge with a profound sense of inadequacy that characterizes through your teenage years, which is exactly what happened to me as a child. Okay. I did not have a loving, nurturing environment to grow up in at the age of 14. It was chaotic, it was abusive, it was fucking destructive, and dark and desolate. There was no stability in my time at that point in time from 14 to the age of 21. There was no. And not even at the age of 7 to 14. That was when my life from 7 to 14 and then from 14 to 21, those were the most chaotic times in my life. And I've spent the rest of my life overcoming them. No doubt. Okay. But it's also part of why the small split in my soul definition is here to learn. It's a huge part of what I was here to learn and what I'm here to facilitate as a channel. But let's talk about this for a second. When we talk about the bottom of the well, the light at the bottom of the well, which is the gift of resourcefulness, this is where you emerge from the behavioral patterns. You start to see how those behavioral patterns take shape in your life. But this is where you find, going back through the Venus sequence and going back through these things, the childhood, and unprogramming all the bullshit that is not of the self, is not of you, is not of your soul, your specific blueprint, or your specific incarnation. Every aspect of what we've gone through as children is here, whether it was dark or light. It helps to formulate who you are on every level. There is no denying it. So, for some aspects where the secret for moving beyond the reach of the darkness is where this is where you have to find your own light at the bottom of the well. This is where parents heal, as parents heal their own emotional issues and raise the frequency of their own DNA, passing on healthy emotional patterns to their children. When we pass these on to our children, so it's the last 50 years that this pattern has brought more and more healthy adults into the world. So there's no role of greater importance or service to humanity than that of being a parent. But it's not only the fastest track to your own healing, but it's the fastest track to healing of the whole world. So when we think about healthy adults and being a healthy adult, or unprogramming yourself from all of the unhealthy thought, psychological, emotional, and behavioral patterns, this is where out of the well comes all manners of solutions and to all manner of challenges in the world around you. This is where we can start to learn that the gift of resourcefulness is actually so much more light when it emerges through the darkest of places. This is the essence of the gift of resourcefulness. So even if you're in your darkest hour, there's always a gift in that very frequency of the paradox. When you can learn to trust that the answer will emerge at the right moment instead of having to have the answer right now, right this second. It helps you in every moment of your life. The sense of fear that is there and the anxiety that gradually begins to eventually fade the more that you begin to allow yourself to trust in the gift of finding resources, finding your resources, because there are always resources there for you. There is always a solution to every problem. This is what you learn in the gate of struggle, or in when I say gate of struggle, gate 28, or the gate of fight, gate 38. So these are very important aspects in the gates. Gate 48 is where you find your resourcefulness in the darkness of the shadows of feeling like you can do nothing, like there is a sense of inadequacy that would keep you from it. This is where we gradually, in this way, allow our trust to lead us to a deeper trust, that reinforces inner security through constant repetition, which is important. We need the repetition, we need the consistency, being consistent. So gradually, the fear of inadequacy is proven to be an absolute illusion. You wind up finding out in the long run that there is no part of you that is absolutely inadequate. You just are made to believe that you are, when actually you are the gift of resourcefulness that is here on this plane of existence, right along with the collective society plane of existence. So the shadow of inadequacy is all in itself a total illusion. You're not inadequate. You are needed. Um, which is funny because I think about that now and I look at my own trajectory through my own human design chart, and my trajectory funnels on the basis of need. So I just get a little laugh at that when I'm sitting here thinking about this and talking about it, because if you have an Aries placement anywhere, okay, especially, I'm just going to use myself as a reference also, okay, I can show you exactly through the natal side of things. That is an Aries trait. If you have Aries in your one of your top 3, you're going to feel the shadow a lot. If you have any Libra placements, cardinal placements, um, Aries, Capricorn, Libra, uh, Cancer, um, this key is felt very deeply in the cardinal resonance of the elements, if you think about it. So in every aspect, it's the cardinal aspects that feel exalted. So if you have ever seen a sad emperor feeling inadequate, then you know Lord Mars or Lord Aries, either way, he is sitting in a form of dissolution with himself as the archetype, right? You're talking about the god of war here, feeling inadequate, like he can't help the situation, when he is the master battle strategist. He knows how to bring people and kingdoms, many kingdoms, together and govern them all and gift the rings of power to other kings and other leaders of other lands. That's what an emperor does. An emperor is a leader's leader. He knows where to delegate power, and he knows where to give the rings of power, and he knows the spirit of the nature behind the beast, the alpha and the omega. He's appointed by source to govern people, right? But to see an emperor that operates in a form of inadequacy, what you're going to see is not an emperor that is a loving, guiding, nurturing leader of resourcefulness. What you're going to see is a fucking tyrant who drives the seed of division in this gene key. And this is what it's talking about, like how we are facing all of these things right now. We know there's weather manipulation. We know there's elemental manipulation and bending going on, but how do we counteract that? Well, I can tell you how we counteract that. We counteract that through the spirit of being resourceful. This is the gift of being naturally abundant. This is the gift of being naturally resourceful. Only God, only source can appoint abundance to anyone. You don't do that. We don't point others toward their natural resources. It is God that does that, source that does that. It's source that gifts the natural abundance and unlimited resources to the deserving, to those that earn it over a spirit of time. Like, this is where the soul evolution comes in. It's about what you've earned. You get what you give. You know what I'm saying? So when we learn to trust the things that we do not know, when we begin to trust, life has a way of beginning to effortlessly and beautifully resolve itself, and it becomes a natural process when you start to decondition everything that takes place inside of you. So when you're generally speaking about a minimum of 7 years, you know, when you talk about programming with other people, it takes a minimum of 7 years for the DNA to do its job. 7 years. And I would be so confident to say that this isn't just with sexual DNA exchange. This is also with conversational exchange through the throat chakra. The throat chakra between one person and another, once it's activated between two people, that's why God says the arcing system is built in twos, takes 2 by 2 by 2. One person and another person being one ionic aspect and another ionic aspect of particles programming with each other. There is a 7-year sequence to that programming. So, the force fields, your resources, how long it takes for the body to learn and unlearn cellular patterns. That's why it takes 7 years. And this is not just sleeping with somebody, okay? When we're talking about sexuality in this key here in the codonary of matter, we're talking about how intentions and words become those formulations of alchemy for manifestation. How it takes 7 years for DNA to learn or unlearn cellular patterns. It's wild, isn't it? That you don't just have to mate sexually with someone. It's the mating of energy in itself. Okay? I've been saying this for a while. Learn to trust your not knowing. Learn to trust your intuition. Learn to trust in the universe. Learn to have hope and faith, right? And this doesn't have anything to do with material business. This is all spiritual, a belief system, whether you take yourself down an illusory path or a path that resonates with source truth, right? So what happens right now when you can tap into the real resources that lie within your gifts and your own talents, the inherent gifts that are wired into your DNA, this is like the icing on the cake, guys. This is the icing on the cake, is that your resourcefulness unleashes a great tide of inner creativity that provides extremely elegant solutions to all manner of questions and issues in your life. So as you begin to trust life, you place within the greater wave of this pattern your natural gifts that spontaneously emerge. You begin to realize that you're capable of far more than you ever dreamed possible. And when you move into rhythm of life, it reveals its own hidden timing in which it's always impeccable. Impeccable timing. Perfect timing. Divine timing. It may not always conform to your mental dreams of how your life might or might not work out, but it does leave you a feeling deeply fulfilled. Every human being is designed to prosper because life in itself is prosperous. So prosperity is an entirely different phenomenon than having material wealth. To prosper, all a human being needs is more than enough, whereas by wealthy means to have a lot more than enough. And wealth, by this definition, is formed out of a need for security. So when you have a need for security that is shown to be an illusion, that is rooted in the fear of shadow frequency, whatever your destiny, life will arrange for you to have a little more than you need. So for some, that means very little, and for others, that is a very large thing, because different humans live out different human myths. One can tell when a person is fulfilled in life because they find exactly the support they need when they need it, rather than stockpiling in order to create a false sense of security, which is what people are doing in the event of a crisis during natural disasters or natural crisis, or things like when COVID happened. You had everybody in their goddamn dog going out to every store buying up fucking toilet paper and all of the essentials like noodles and ramen, you know, things that would not go bad, you know. You have all these people buying up and consuming all the products out of fear because they're feeling like they're not going to have an adequate enough supply. They're feeling this shadow of inadequacy. And they go out and they go and overbuy and overdo and they take from others without thinking about the needs of others. They're just thinking about the needs of themselves. Same thing is happening right now. People are trying to scam people that are going through natural disasters, needing help. You have a fucking government funded system like FEMA out here fucking denying people help, taking donations and taking all the stuff, the natural resources that other people are donating, and they're saying, well, we've got this, and, you know, but they're not doing a fucking thing to help the people that are on the ground. You've got people that are using their privately owned helicopters going out here rescuing and finding people, and FEMA is taking all the goddamn fucking credit for doing that when they're not really doing it. They're not really doing shit to help anyone because they're not there to help you. They're there because they're being paid by the United States government, or, okay, if you take that even further back, the United States government and all of its entities or corporations are being paid by Blackwater and Vanguard, okay? And everybody fucking knows it. And everybody fucking knows that EMP and electromagnetic pulse frequency and electromagnetic light pulse frequency technologies are being used to harm and manipulate weather. They're being used to steal life force neutrinos from you, from the earth, from the plants, from the sun, from all of the other celestial bodies that are in our cosmological makeup. They have a way of stealing life force energy particles, which we would call the God particle in all life force things that are living beings. All of the neutrinos and God particles that are in all living things, these beings, these agencies, governments, and all the things that we're talking about in the shadow, right, of this jinky and the wonder of uncertainty, the governments, you know, all these so-called powers that be, these people that people fear have more power over us. There are always solutions, okay? It doesn't matter what these people on the other side of the world or what these people in these certain named families, you know, these controller beings, these fucking, you know, these tyrants are doing with the cellular patterns and structures of elemental beings, including ourselves. They tell us that it's a human myth, that it's impossible to use EMP or MLP frequencies. But yet they're doing it, and they've been doing it since the 1950s or probably longer. They've been doing this for thousands of years. They tell you not to dabble in witchcraft because they tell you that it's wrong, but every aspect of the occult and omniscience, it ties into everything that they don't want you to fucking do. But that's okay. So we talk about shadow frequencies, destinies, you know, whatever your destiny in life will be, everything that is an illusion, it's rooted in the fear of the shadow frequencies of this jinky. So when you talk about inadequacy, there is nothing here that is kept from you, not even the truth, not your abundance, not anything. It is what you give over to the power of belief. That is the story. Where your energy goes is where your energy flows, and that is facts. So this is where we need to learn how to draw back in to ourselves, go deeper within ourselves, and not give anybody outside of yourself as an entity that kind of power over you. They can have that power over you psychologically. They can have that power over you anyway, that you allow them to have it. So what we do, which when it comes to working with the rhythm of life and revealing the perfect hidden timing that is in everything, It's not to conform your own mental dreams of how life should or shouldn't work out. This is where you have to get really, really trusting with your destiny. Know that you'll meet your destiny no matter what choices bring you to it. What's meant for you will always be. That's facts. So to lift the shadow frequency is, one can tell. You can tell when you are being fulfilled, when you're feeling that shadow of inadequacy, and that shadow of inadequacy starting to dissipate. You can tell when that shadow starts to dissipate because you're starting to tap more into your eternal source of resources. When you are able to use the gift of resourcefulness in the place of feeling inadequate, things shift radically. I can just tell you that because I have this game, my small split. I would know. I do know most of my programming partners have been in my life to help me transform the paradox of where I was split, where I had to merge myself back together in Hyros Gamos. So this might make sense to how this process might be working in collective society right now. Okay, so for some of us that means very little. To some it's a very huge thing. It's a very big ordeal. So going back to the vital aspects of the gift of resourcefulness as an integrative power, all of your inner talents and resources are ultimately designed and come with a built-in agenda, a programming. So in order to offer this service of gift to the whole, you have to understand that all of your true talent is holistic by nature. Your inner well exists to serve others, and it's they who come and throw the bucket down the well and throw out your resources. So they who came in through the bucket at you and said, throw out all your resources, those are not going to help you. Those people, even religious-based forms of groups of people telling you, oh, well, don't practice witchcraft, or don't talk about omniscience, because then you're being a witch. You're not spiritual. You're not blah, 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 blah. That's all a bunch of poppycock, guys, and we all know it. The true talent is the holistic aspect of nature, the naturalness of the isness. Metaphorically, all human beings are designed to slake each other's thirst, which, if you're thirsty, well, we're here to help quench each other's thirsts, guys. It's like we don't need Gatorade, we just need each other. So this means that we have to interact honestly with each other and selflessly in order to prosper. In serving the whole, you serve yourself, and in the most efficient way possible. This is why resourcefulness has the power to unite even the greatest of enemies. When human beings pool in their resources together, they become truly powerful. That's what Spirit's trying to tell us right now. It's time to pull in all of our resources and share them with each other. If any of you guys have been intuitively getting the message from your spirit guides, your ancestors, or from other collective channels talking about sharing is caring, guys, you can't emphasize that enough for why this gene key is activated right now and what that fucking means on a royal path level. Are you following the royal path, or are you following man's bullshit laws? You know, man who brought the divine laws down from the mountain and decided to swap the words and say this and this to manipulate and say, okay, well, this is how we're going to create loopholes to think we're going to get away from our karma, guys, and teach that to future generations, because this is what's going to fucking dumb them down emotionally on an emotional intelligent level. Like, we're going to just teach these human beings to go against the grain and go against what God fucking said. Because God said in the beginning, when he handed laws, cosmic laws down to Moses and said, there shall be no sodomy. Guess what happens? Now all the fucking world is stage. Most of your big wig people, so-called powerful people, are fucking sodomizers. Okay? This includes a majority of the liars within the government factions, the liars within corporations, the liars who like to go out and steal and hoard other resources away from other human beings and call that good Samaritan work. Oh, we're just good Samaritans. Rich peoples, the families that can't have enough, they can't get enough wealth, so therefore they become so wealthy that they would bottom out the rest of the earth and its population of people because they're that selfish. These people don't give a shit. They have an agenda, they're pushing that agenda, and as long as we keep allowing them to push that agenda, they're going to keep fucking pushing it. They're going to keep pushing it until the levee breaks. The levee's already breaking right now. It's like the universe is saying, all right, children, it's time to fucking wake up. Having dreams in dream space from the spirit guides saying it's time to put a stop to their maniacal plans, to their plots and schemes, to their machinations, quote unquote. It's a word, machinations. Stop their machinations. Well, how do we stop their machinations? We stop feeling like we're inadequate, because we're not. The feeling of inadequacy that they want us to feel right now is the truth that we need to release. Like that's the illusion that we need to release in order to stand in our fucking power right now and embody the city of wisdom, the supernaturalness of wisdom, the beyondness of being and not being. We have to look at this as as a feminine and inward situation rather than a masculine outward situation. Understanding the law of gender. This is where we have to see that the archetypal nature within the 48th gene key is feminine and inward, not masculine and outward. We also have to look at this as a breakthrough that comes through a force of gravity. What goes up must come down. Murphy's Law. When we learn to see through the eyes of the 48th gift, we unlock the secret of free energy. So nothing can ever be withheld from you. Energy, abundance, the truth, anything. Nothing can be withheld from you. This is the infinite resource of the core of your creation. The core of our creation. That we are infinite resources. The breakthrough that needs to be had right now is going to herald a new global age, but as it will resolve all of our energy and our energetic needs, and simply and quickly, it will make a very home for the community that will be clean and self-sufficient. So the beyondness of being and not being. The wisdom is one of the truly great cities. It is revered and sought by all cultures since the beginning of time. So seeking wisdom, the knowledge that allows you to see beyond the confines of what is considered normal awareness. Collectively, the 64 keys represent an encyclopedia of the 64 archetypes or codes within the human continuum. The 64 keys of Enoch. You want to reference that too? That's fine. They all fucking coincide together here. The 64 gene keys. Go try to buy the keys of Enoch now. It's probably about a $700 to $1,000 book right now. Just on the internet alone. Right now, go look on Amazon. A copy right now of the Keys of Enoch would cost you anywhere from $700 to $1,000. That's how expensively retarded that book has become. But anyway, this book is a lot cheaper. I'm just saying. It's only $45. But anyway, it's still the same thing. You're still talking about the codes, the 64 ways, the 64 keys. It's one and the same. So each city, at a citic level, however, the differentiated continuum ceases to exist, and each city uses its own paradoxical language to address that which lies beyond words. So in this context, the 48th city is the great archetype of the beyond in itself. So to understand to infinity and beyond, that's where this expression comes from. The city opens up the void inside of you, and it is the primal state of not knowing. When you truly go into the void, you are surrendering. This is what they're telling you to surrender all the time. Surrender, surrender, surrender. It's because when you get to a state of where you think you know everything, it is time to surrender that thought process alone, because at the end of the day, you can think you know everything, but you don't really know dick about dick. And the universe will constantly remind you of that very fact. So this is to keep you humble, right? To keep you humble inside your resources and knowing that those things are infinite, even if you don't know or have one slight clue of where you're going. The whole point of this releasing the self from the swing of the pendulum and the paradox, and to get in some form of balance within this key here, is to be able to understand that all your body is going to do when it processes information from the delightful to the dark, it is the knowing and the not knowing that you can always gather from your life experiences. To know takes effort and exertion, whereas not knowing, it's already there inside you. You don't have to fight. You don't have to struggle. You don't have to control. You don't have to do a fucking thing whatsoever. When you surrender into a void state, you're basically saying, I trust in the unknown. I don't need to know the outcome, because you're not going to have it right anyway. What you think should be the outcome most likely will not be. It is what you think, or is what has formulated around that thought process, that creates the expectation that this should happen the way that you think it should. The universe will prove you wrong, because the way that your destiny happens as it should, it happens through every choice that you make, whether it is from a dark-sided nature or a light-sided nature. There is the constant continuancy that all things will happen as they should. So there's no need to control it. There's no need to feel inadequate about anything when your limit of resources is no limit. You think there is a limit because this is what outside society or what your parents or somebody tells you when they place limitations upon you because they don't believe in the impossible. This is where belief systems come in. This is why they talk about the nature of why religion is a bad thing, because it will give you a set direction and a set of ways and a set of programming that says, okay, well, this way of belief system is going to place limitations on you because this is what the controller being that wanted to control things in the first place put into this indoctrination. And so it's going to carry on for generations, because this person wanted to control a belief system because it made them fear themselves or the unknown, or they felt inadequate. So they had to make up a cult level by a variety of things for other people to follow, because it made them feel safe. It made them feel secure. It made them feel like they had some sense of control over the outcome of society or humanity for that matter. So this is how we're breaking down the aspect of to be unsecure, on the other hand, is to have embraced your urge to escape fear in every way possible. So if you can sense that you're trying to escape your own level of fear through a particular behavioral or belief system pattern or psychological pattern, and this is where we realize that solutions are simply, well, solutions, there aren't really no problems in the first place. So when you realize that solutions, there's always a solution, well, there's always a solution because there's not really a problem in the first place. When I talked about this earlier, this is a lesson that I had to learn, and still I'm having to learn the hard way sometimes. Your truth source of wisdom is the ultimate solution to all the human questions and problems, and only life can do that for you. No words can point to the grand illusion of the existence. So to be unsecure is to be more secure than is possibly imaginable. To be unsecure is to surrender all of your inner questions and surrender all of that back to the infinite. So There's a wonderful story about the great Indian sage Bodhidharma arriving before the Chinese emperor with a shoe on his head. When the emperor asked him what the meaning of the shoe was, he replied that he wanted to be the emperor and to know the right way and what kind of a man he was dealing with. The story is symbolic of the unsecure nature of true wisdom. It will not and cannot be comprehended with the mind. Only from the heart can things be truly felt and understood. So, from the immemorial that humans have intuitively grasped that wisdom is feminine in essence, the great goddess of many cultures are representations of this understanding. But wisdom itself is beyond the opposite. The images that have been used to describe wisdom are thus feminine, and water, wells, springs, valleys, and darkness are all example of those things. Water is one of the greatest symbols for the nature of wisdom because its nature is paradoxical. It's empty yet full, weak yet strong, resistant yet yielding. Ultimately, it shapes itself to the vessel it is held in, and when the vessel is gone, it dissipates yet lives on. One who is truly wise like the water in all these ways. You are wise because you do not know you are wise. You are powerful because you do not care about power. You are fearless because you do not truly exist. The question of all seekers of wisdom is how to attain it. This is the question at the heart of all the mysteries and of all the great religion and sciences. Modern science continues to try and find the single unified theory that will resolve all the questions about the universe. It will dissolve the universe. The answer lies within the question of itself, just as it lies within the individual. Only true manifestation of wisdom is complete ordinariness. When the city dawns within an individual, a paradoxical sentence in itself, that individual ceases to exist but becomes an aspect of the whole, functioning spontaneously and innocently. The irony is that this is exactly what the individual was before wisdom occurred. In the other words, wisdom changes nothing inside of us. It's the realization that brings about wisdom. There's nothing wiser in all of humanity than the physical body. When a human being discovers the secret, they begin to tap into the source of universal wisdom. Wisdom is rooted in the utter trust of your body. Through the eyes of wisdom, everything within the sphere of human experience can be reduced to the simple physical sensation, even thinking. The body must be allowed to feel the way it feels. It must be allowed to think the way it thinks. The body must be allowed to feel and act the way it acts. So nothing the body does can ever be wrong. It is the false concept that there is a way to be harmonious and a way to be inharmonious that is the root of all human dilemmas, and there is nothing but harmony, and there is nothing but wisdom. You must come to realize through whatever experiences the body follows that your acts, your thoughts, and your movements emerge from totality rather than having an independent source. So not only is there no individual choice in our lives, there's no chooser. So the whole concept of freedom or determinism goes out of the window. We began this 48 gifts by seeing how inadequate human beings can feel when faced the many challenges that we have in life, but we're designed to feel this inadequacy because it's the beginning of our journey. There is wisdom even when this inadequacy is felt because it's felt by the body. Your mental anxiety is also an aspect of your bodily wisdom, as are your desires, fantasy, anger, contempt, and lust. The fear really is the fear of fear itself. And when it's looked at squarely in the face, then all other fears are simply reduced to bodily sensations that continually arise and disappear again. The feeling of intense bliss, for example, is no different from the feeling of lust or even physical pain. The body simply follows its own wisdom, and this wisdom dissolves that which identifies with the situations and sensations. As we said earlier, the 48th city leaves behind what the 48th city leaves behind is an absolutely ordinary human being. So that's the chapter within the Gene Keys. Let's talk about the I Ching for a second. When we talk about the inadequacy, resourcefulness, and the I Ching 48, the hexagram 48, wisdom that lies between worlds, behind the concepts, it's older than the mind. It may be reached through the mind, but like sunlight through a prism, it doesn't attach itself anywhere. It emerges spontaneously right from the heart of creation, as wisdom is truly alive. So when you have the codon ring of matter, we have the water, the well, which is called the water over wind. And when you talk about water and wind, and you think about the spirit of the hurricanes and what's going on, and if you see or hear about the development aspect of more air and water manipulations happening on the planet right now, the spirit of the message that came through dream space the other day is that the waters of the ocean right now are churning out evil. Now, this is a story that comes out of the Vedas, guys, and one in particular, the story of the cobra that wraps himself in devotion around Lord Shiva's neck. His name is Vasuki. Vasuki is a devoted Naga king, the king of the Nagas, so devoted to Lord Shiva that Lord Shiva granted the Naga's wish to be so devoted. But there's a story about Vasuki right now in the message that came through my child's dream space the other day. The black serpent said to Talon before waking, we have to stop their emanations. The message was, you have to stop their machinations, their plots and schemes. The message of that in their plots and schemes and the evil and the poison that these people are churning up from the bottoms of the oceans right now is being counteracted with telepathic and telekinetic energy coming from those of us that are seeding light into this planet. The seeding of life in this planet right now, we are overturning water and wind with the I Ching right now. The poison that is coming up for destruction to destroy from the bottom of the ocean, counteracting the energy, giving it love and nurturing. And so for those that are struggling right now, the programming partner of Libra Cardinal Air is right now helping us release ourselves from the victimhood of inadequacy and the release of control, of authority, and valor. Authority is actually a gift, but when in the wrong hands, not so great. So this is going to affect the physical aspect of the body, which is the spleen and the amino acid of alanine. So together, this energy within the codon matter, the codon ring of matter, is bringing up gate 16 and gate 48, which is the channel of talent. So it's time to use your talents as a form of resourcefulness. Right now, this is what wisdom is: EQ and IQ and inadequacy, looking at the light and the bottom of the well, the spirit of resourcefulness, and going into the city of wisdom, and the beingness, the beyondness of being. So the I Ching is the breath of life beneath the water, which is clarity that is found at the bottom of the well. Wisdom is the devotion of clarity, resourcefulness is commitment with intuition, and inadequacy is half-heartedness with unease. So when we are communicating our intentions right now, although a town site may be altered, the well remains the same. The water level neither disappears nor receives any great increase, and from the people can draw from it freely. The superior man confronts and comforts the people and stimulates their mutual cooperation. So, right now, take that how it resonates for those of you that are watching this. If you're talking about natural disasters, what's happening on with the astrology of things, what's going on right now, Libra is bringing in the partner of the peace bringer and the diplomat. So when you think about cardinal energy and peace and diplomats, things like that, the hierarchy of imbalance, which brings on the gift of collaboration and the spirit of connection in service to others through the pursuit of partnership and peace. So this is going to be created no matter who tries to stop the process. So it's best not to feed the fear templates right now about what is going on in the collective aspect of nature and humans. And it's black men, okay? Or so it's, you talk about things that are alien. The integral aspect of this design key right now is the channel of talent, which is the wavelength. We're going from the spirit of deficiency to the gifts of talent and the sublime energy that can be created from it. This is where we have to trust in our intuition to move through the alarming shadows of what is going on in the collective, to use our intuition to really be present at the moment. The stream of service that is happening through the holographic design of the collective service is the stream of service in working through the shadow of dissatisfaction. Putting ourselves into the gift of service is always the truth of who we really are at the beginning. We are always in devotion. We are always in service. And that is our true nature and trajectory from any need or any reason why we would be here or why we would be doing anything. So going from the intuition, using our intuition into the stream of service right now is where we create a channel of talent in the wavelength. Through right now, transforming and transmuting through the paradox of the shadow. So when we talk about the Dream Arc Codex, for those of you guys that are tapping into the animal kingdom or the crystal grid right now, the crystal alphabet mineral for this gene key is pearl. The fear key is oyster. The life key, which is the gift key, is whale. And the vision key is the owl. So you have an aspect of dream symbology coming in from those four things, from the crystal, the fear, the life, and the vision. You have pearl, oyster, whale, and owl. So if any of those symbolic references right there from the animal kingdom to the crystal grid, that's going to make things make sense. If you guys are geomancers or energy workers, or if you work with the animal kingdom as spirit guides. One example on Facebook is Laura Hazel. She works with the whales and the dolphins. And so those harmonic frequencies are always here for us in the dream arc of things, when it be real or imaginary or intention, from dream space to astral space to physical being. So if we talk about door 48 in human design at unlockyourdesign.com, the archetype here is rooted instinctually in memory. So the 48th archetype is not only the most delightful and infuriating paradox that wisdom arrives through, but not knowing rather than knowing. And so the archetype here is called the librarian. So the librarian archetype is really funneling on source energy from body and to the profundity. Profundity is kind of like fecundity. I mean, fecundity means abundant, fertile. The librarian archetype is born with wisdom so naturally that she rarely sees it herself until someone comes along and drinks from her well of sagacity. This archetype has a potent awareness rooted deep in an instinctual memory that gives her the depth to bring logical, real, and workable solutions to the problem of the collective. In everyday life, her focus is the library, a sanctuary like she has created, and there she knows where the essence of depth in all books. So I talked about this the other day with my child also, that after I was given the dream message to stop their machinations, their plots or schemes. It's kind of like how people get lost between psychology, emotional body, ethereal body, the subtle body, all of these different aspects of the self, but you kind of have to look at it from this archetypal point of view. When you're diving through all of this wisdom and information, there is everything that is already known within inside of you, which is the Akashic records. It's kind of like you're in an infinite library that never ends. But if you know how to operate like a librarian, when you're going to look up your resources in the Akashic records, you kind of have to use the same system as far as knowledge and information that a librarian would use when they would go to a certain bookshelf to find a certain book. Okay, this process works very much the same way. And so this is where you have to get visual and very literal with that concept of, you probably wouldn't have gone down this knowledge path or this journey if it weren't necessary. So if you learn to welcome it as a part of your natural environment and go within, the extraordinary aspect of welcoming this energy can help you become more charismatic. Actually, it helps the magnetism of things within and so without. So when you look at the aspect of looking at this archetype and knowing that, you know, when you're sifting through the Akashic records and your inner knowing, that is always knowing. This is where you look at the different areas of your life to find the personal well-being solutions for the whole. Not just for the whole, but for yourself. Because if you figure it out, then you're going to trigger a whole aspect within the collective to also go through the same process. That is how the beautiful aspect of the connectedness between all of us really works. So when you look at it from the librarian's perspective and continue on and exploring with great awareness and perspective, then you become extremely resourceful, and people come to you for advice and they want to talk to you about life because you have what it seems to be the book of life inside of your own thoughts or conversations. So that is a wealth that people can have. That is the wealth that is infinite to you, that is abundant to you, that is given to you by source creation. This is how you use it as a tool. So when you want to acknowledge these things and tap into the well, right, you have an endless source of information and you develop a close relation to it, which is the enthusiast. The enthusiast is another archetype that work together in the wavelength to come up with solutions to any problems. While the enthusiast brings versatility and the motivation, the librarian brings depth and ingenuity. So you're programming with that indifference and opening up for personal and collective health and prosperity. The librarian faces all kinds of fears, and one of the greatest fears has been that of not knowing the subject well enough when someone asks her. So she has to overcome the fear that she will never know enough or always be inadequate. So over time, she can learn to trust her inner authority and live in the moment instead of always being over prepared. So the librarian needs to trust the divine order and learn that she will always be perfectly prepared when the aligned opportunities arise. So just a little bit of the archetype of the librarian there, the keywords for here. Here is taste, solutions, and depth. For those of you guys that may have the cognizance of taste, this is where your depth perception comes into the subtle body aspect of digestion, guys. So if you're looking at your holographic human design blueprint, look at the aspect of your digestion. So that would be called what is it called? It's not called digestion by design. It's called your determination on a human blueprint, on a human design holographic blueprint. It would be your determination. Your determination is how you digest and absorb energy, but your cognitive aspect is how you connect to your source of intuition. For me, it is taste. For some, it's touch. For some, it's inner cognition. For others, it's touch and all of the others through one of the greatest senses of all of the senses. So, depth perception can be felt through touch, taste, smell, inner cognition, uh, and then list off the others, right? Your internal motivator here for this archetypal alliance right now is that there's always more, and as always, you can always go deeper. The positive attributes are keeping things fresh by never ceasing to explore. Like, don't stop exploring, don't stop adventuring. Receive others in their sanctuary, or receive others into your sanctuary, and always be ready to go deeper. The Achilles heel here is having the tendency to always find another rabbit hole to go down, which is bad. Sometimes we have to stop comparing ourselves to other people and other things and other places, and we have to come back to the body, okay? And use the body as a compass, because your body is the compass. Start listening. So the I Ching and the well over water over wind, the quarter of duality here is that the purpose is actually filled through relationships. So you will learn this lesson through the spirit of your relationships to your parents, your friends, your upbringing, people that are in your life right now, co-workers, partners, lovers, etc. All of it. You have partners in any ways, but this is really driven by the exalted energy of Libra, okay? And if I'm not mistaken, Saturn may still be doing a dance in Libra right about now. I'm not sure. I have to go and look. But when it comes to the physiology of the bone marrow, this is going to be felt deep inside the bones. Okay, this is going to be felt within the bone structure, the skeletal system, and it is also going to be felt within the organ of the spleen. So most people channel from their spleen. For those of you guys that are splenic channels, you would understand that in the codon ring of matter, it's to trust your thoughts before actions. Are your thoughts going to align with your actions? Are your actions aligning with your thoughts? This is where we need to get those things in balance. That's what that exalted energy is here to help us do right now. So the teachings of the librarian actually are about diving deeper and finding our additional resources, or any resources that, as far as the self, like my message last week was to go back in and find all of the gifts that I discarded and return them back to my treasury of my toolbox. That may be a message for some of you too. If you have discarded a gift or something that is beautiful and amazing about yourself, and you discarded it because somebody else put their belief systems on you and made you feel some form of inadequate within that gift, it's time to resurrect those things, because those things are part of you. Those things belong with you, and they are part of who you are. So there are lots of gifts that we left behind because we were trying to discard them for what somebody else thought or believed we should do. Now, this is about returning to ourself, into serving the whole, and to serving yourself in the most efficient way possible by bringing back all of those things that are a part of you, that are meant to be a part of you, and to be acknowledged and loved and seen and nurtured and held. Okay, so these are things that God does not forget, even though you might. So this is tapping right back into that feeling that you get from source whenever there's something not right within the body frequency. There's something that you left behind that is a treasure to you, and you need to go back and you need to pick that up, because that is a gift frequency that you just discarded and left behind, and it shouldn't have happened like that. But you can always go back, because it's still a part of you. It's not like you left it behind. You just put it in a box somewhere and closed it off because you were afraid to open Pandora's box. But the point is that you have to open up the box. You have to unleash what is in it so that you can be able to feel the gift of it. And so a lot of us, what spirit means by go back and pull back all those treasures that you discarded, because those treasures of yourself are hidden and buried in the shadows. And so 9 times out of 10, we think that those shadows are somewhere outside of ourselves, when it's really the fact of the matter that we need to pull in for self introspection. We need to be able to see where the water or wind, is really programming the enthusiasm of the way that we manage our existence. So that is important, because what we think is how we talk, and how we talk is how we walk. Everything. So it's time to embrace the fact that there is the shadow of inadequacy there, that when we release it, when we release the fear of it, we get to embrace the resourcefulness of those things that we left behind. And then we embody the wisdom of that. It's always been us. It's always been a part of us. It's time to get back to those gifts, those treasures that we left behind. So embracing through the victim pattern of inadequacy, we release the dilemma of not knowing, and we help the bland repressive nature and the reactive nature of unscrupulousness by the wonder of uncertainty. So if we don't know how to handle emotional states with equanimity, integrity, and clarity, we never fully enter adulthood, and we remain childish at some level. So being able to go back in and pull out those aspects of where we are we are infinitely resourceful, is through your unknowing. Your pearl will be delivered to you. So you must neither repress or react to your fear. You must simply sit with it. If you simply sit with your fear, then you'll find the light at the bottom of the well. That's the point. Your light at the bottom of the well is your gifts. So when we talk about the city of wisdom, the beyondness of being and not being, it means that you're wise because you know you're wise, and you're powerful because you don't care. You don't care about being powerful. This is where you're truly fearless, because you don't really exist. You're just what? Being. So it's time to invest in yourself, because as you learn to trust the life on a if you as you learn to trust life on a broader spectrum or scale, the well-beings, oh my goodness, the well begins to reveal some of its secrets. It's kind of like I was told a long time ago: if you want the world to reveal itself, you have to reveal yourself to the world, and the world will reveal itself to you as it truly is, not how you think it should be. That was a message for me in my incarnation of the left angle cross of masks 2. I was on a spaceship, and I was being told to let go of the mask. And it's funny, because in this dream, my brothers were wearing men in black suits, and they were wearing doll masks that made their faces look more like children, like childlike dolls. I was like, why are you guys dressed like that? He was like, think about the metaphor, Brandy. Human beings are always trying to mask who they really are. The illusions. And I said, yeah, that's true. So what's up with it? So his answer was, if you want to know what's up with it, take your masks off, Brandy. If you want to know the truth of the world behind its masks, take your masks off and reveal yourself to the world, and the world will truly reveal itself to you. So I will just leave you with that. That's some of the scale of well-being. How the well begins to reveal some of its secrets is when you start to take off your masks and reveal your secrets to the world. The world will do the same for you. And once you begin to see the truth of who you really are, which metaphorically speaking, all the masks are the masks that you've worn to adapt and to be a chameleon in the world. And these masks you took from others as you were growing, as you were digesting information, as you were pulling in the programming. The masks are the programs. So if you want to know the world and its truth behind the programming, you have to unprogram yourself as it is, or as you think it is, or as you expect it to be. This is where you unwind and unravel the hooks and the lies and the illusions from the mind of the truth. So, embody the librarian this last day. Keep it with you from this last week's activations. What did you learn over the last 5-6 days? What lessons is it bringing for you? What gifts are returning to you in this soul retrieval, the soul awakening, the soul remembering, the remembering of wisdom that you truly embody from within? So those are things to think about. So the next codon mandala activation will be let's see, the next codon activation. Let me look up the codon mandala. Excuse me. Anyway, maybe I don't need to next. I'll let you guys know tomorrow on my Facebook page, and I'll be back here in another 3 or 4 days to do another video to get really settled into the next key. Give me 1 minute. I'll see if I can pull it up. Genetic matrix. I'd have to pull up my mandala chart really quick. The next gene key activation is going to be gene key 57. Yeah, that's going to be nice. Let's see what this one is. Gene key 57 is going to be the next key activated. It will be activated at midnight tonight. Gene key 57 is... a gentle wind. And this is also the last key in the codon ring of matter. And this will be the shadow of unease. This next week is not going to feel very great, guys. I'm just going to give you a fair warning because the fear band frequencies are going to be turned up next week. This week, actually. The fear band frequencies are going to be going crazy. This is where, if you are an acoustic guitar lover, I would suggest acoustic guitar for listening, calming, grounding during the 57th activation, because it does formulate around acoustics and harmonics within the harmonic universe that way. So this is going to be through sound interpretations, things you hear, whether it's music. So the fear band frequencies are going to be a little bit higher over the next week, just so you guys should know. For those of you that want to know, if you guys want to do a little bit of diving in and kind of looking more at the information, go to Gene Key, type in Google search Gene Key 57, and it'll pull up the information for the 57th Gene Key in the genekeys.com website. You can actually go into the website and read the chapters for free. So let's just see what we've got going on here in the in-betweens between this Gene Keys activation 48 and 57s. What messages of the Royal Path Arcanum should we be looking at? Seven of Swords, deception, releasing or coming into the vision of beauty, triumphant with occult or hidden intelligence. This is the Seven of Swords energy. That is a lynx, a lamp, a rose, the shroud, and the smell, sense of smell. Releasing the Four of Cups energy from the vision of love and measuring cohesive or receptacular energy. That is also where Spirit said this week, these things are going to be looked at, or this past week and this next week also. This is where things are looked at in the spirit and the nature of your relationships between yourself and others. You've got the Queen of Wands coming in with the Tower right now. Very big Tower moment happening right now for the collective. Queen of Wands bringing in the vision of sorrow, but it's also bringing in the order of sanctifying intelligence at the same time. This is the binary force of life energy here to bring balance. Okay, there's a lot of work that's going to need to be done with this activation and this time right now to clear the vision of sorrow. But what you have coming in with the works of wrath and vengeance is exciting intelligence coming in. I really believe that this is going to be a big, huge week of absolute clarity and reveal from aspects of the darkness and this great Tower moment and the dark night of the soul that the collective is going through right now. You just can't make this shit up, guys. I mean, I can't make this shit up. So we have the occult or hidden intelligence getting a fucking revision of beauty from the sorrow because of what is happening with war and violence right now. Wrath and vengeance. What are we looking at? We are looking at the union with God of admirable or hidden intelligence coming in with the Ace of Coins. So with that energy of destruction is also coming the energy of new beginnings. And so this is what is being looked at, and that is a swan in flight. That's a swan flying. So what I'm getting from this message is that things that you haven't had access to or resources that haven't been touched before, you're going to be able to touch them now, and that's what the Tower moment is bringing. This is how the intelligence of the machinery of the universe is actually working right now. The Queen of Wands is bringing in the sanctifying intelligence of sorrow to stay on the binary path of creation in the Trinity, the Trimurti of energy. And it is going to war with the spirit of vengeance in the Tower moment right here, because you have the god Ra that is bringing in sanctifying intelligence or exciting intelligence. But it's also bringing clarity about how to combat the warlike energies, okay? Sometimes, not always, the answer is to fight fire with fire. To get to the 10 of Coins, you have to go through the vision of the Holy Guardian of Adonai or Angel of Adonai, and through the resplendent intelligence of the Philosopher's Stone and the mysteries of the universe, submit the 10 of Coins, wish of change and desire, shift it to the mysteries of understanding that the resplendent intelligence here is about the wheel, the Ouroboros, the fruitfulness of life comes through the Philosopher's Stone, the heart. The comfort we all seek comes through surrendering to the mysteries. And if not, the Sphinx wouldn't be here as a symbol. That which we touch can be manifested tangibly through strength and intention, clarity, vision. You know what I'm saying? Seeing ourselves in union with God face to face is the answer to bring the clearing of the tower moment and the dark night of the soul to the end. Get excited about this intelligence. It doesn't have to be war or vengeance for you. You can turn any energy of war and vengeance into something of a new beginning and releasing the comfort zones of thinking that you want to be comfortable and what you need, what you feel like you need to be comfortable. It's kind of like Spirit saying, release the illusions and know that it's already yours. Release the illusions. The lamp lights the way to a new beginning, to new resources of abundance and balance and prosperity. And it may require work, but Queen Bee says sanctifying intelligence clears and heals the vision of sorrow. The Philosopher's Stone and the lightning strikes, illuminating the path to move forward with exciting intelligence, to connect to the admirable or hidden intelligence with your union with God face to face, and your gifts. So trusting in the mysteries, trusting in the gift frequency of the gifts that God gave you. So I hope this helps you guys understand that that's the royal path version, okay, coming through the tarot of magical correspondences. So that is the machinery of the universe right now through the tarot, major arcana major, and minor arcanum, tapping into the Akashic records. So before we go, I'm going to pull a Kali card and see where we are at in the wheel of the Samsara this week. What we're about to step into with Gene Key 57 this week. The message going forward. What does Kali Ma want us to do? What does she want us to know? How is she with us and supporting us right now in the Godhead right now? And the first logos, where is our support coming from the first logos? Khadga. I like this card. Card number 9. And then we have Kalaratri in the overall. I love her as a guardian, as an overseer, because this energy of hers is extremely calm. Let's just read her first because she's in the overall energy. She appears beneath the cloak of night, revealing truths that must be known to set the heart free. She offers an opportunity to engage in a profound and enduring transformation. This will lead to a powerful rebirth, free from even the most persistent patterns or pains of your past. Your soul is in deep healing, and recovery can be painful, but that pain is temporary, and you will emerge renewed and released in time. You will greet your rising destiny from an entirely new and improved inner foundation. You're blessed to experience a new life within this lifetime. The goddess Kalaratri appeared when a warrior violated the rules of law and violently assaulted enemy troops resting under the cover of night. She appeared in terrible form, making sounds that expressed the horror of suffering taking place. This is the weeping and the wailing of the Black Madonna. No matter how people try to cover up what is happening, the gossiping over things which clearly manipulate words, she is the truth witnessed and laid bare. For those who've been cajoled or coerced to deny their intuition and authentic experience, Kalaratri breaks through the crazy making and brings us into the truth of what is happening. She brings the relief of truth even when it's difficult to bear. She opens and breaks open the toxic systems and reveals their deceptive behaviors. Okay, so let me go back to what I said. When when they're conjuring up these storms, the evil that they're conjuring up from these storms and from the elemental things that they are bending with their dark and unnatural thoughts, because they want to control and they want to seek for power. So when the Gene Key 48 talks about how the true way to harness vitality and life force energy is not to seek it, it's not to. It's to understand you don't have to be thirsty for this energy because it already exists in you. You're not supposed to want it in order for it to find you. In order for you to truly master it, you're not supposed to want it in the first place. Most people that have it don't want it. And that's the paradox here. The people that starve for this energy are the ones doing the dirt, right? And they'll do this because they'll be starved of it and depraved of it the more that they seek it outwardly instead of seeking it for themselves. They can become the richest people in the world and have trillions of dollars and take from others in a narcissistic fashion, but they don't understand that they're driving themselves mad through their whole entire course, or from their machinations, their plots and schemes. All they do is self-destruct in them. It's the nature of the beast. It's the way it works. You're not supposed to want it in order to be gifted and master it. This is the kind of energy that people seek to divide and conquer and steal and lie and lust and cheat for, to kill for. This is the kind of power that resides within you naturally. How do you overturn that? How do you overturn what's going on? Is exactly this: the acknowledge that this isn't an intellectual understanding. This is a bone deep agony of release. It's like pulling a thorn out of the lion's paw, like Daniel and the lion. The story where Daniel meets the lions in the arena at the Colosseum in Rome when he is forced into slavery. His only way out was the lions. And because the lions didn't devour him, he won his freedom like a gladiator would. And he wasn't a gladiator, he was just very smart. And nature's beasts respected him on a whole different level. So when we talk about the celebration that is time to be honored, this is a celebration of Hindu tradition, the goddess Kali herself. And so we are right now in the middle. Goddess Durga on October 11th. It's Durga Ashmati celebration. So those of you that are into goddess worship, start like a dedication at the altar to the Mother Durga, goddess Ashmati, and then her 3 phases of Trimurti after. This is Trimurti and a trinity, the trishul, the trident, moving in the form of the logos. And that was the message of the Vasuki, which is the cobra that is so devoted to Lord Krishna, that Lord Krishna, because of the Naga King's devotion to him, he allowed the Naga King to wrap himself around Lord Shiva's shoulders. But what Vasuki represents is he represents the 3 aspects of the Logos, or the Lakas, which is the Logos. The Rajas, well, that's the macrocosms, so we'll start with the Tamas, which is the microcosm, the lower. And then the Rajas, the middle, the macro. And then the Sattva, the Godhead, the first Logos. So when you have the Trimurti together, they formulate all of the energy that is needed to overcome the dark night and come to a final dissolution, which is the formal absolute ending of something that no longer needs to be. So for what we can take for this on a collective level, and what we're seeing in the Maya of illusions happening all around us, is that all of these people have control. The aspect of it is that they don't. They have no fucking grasp. They have no straws to grasp anymore. That's something that we need to know and understand, that they're doing this because they're grasping at straws. They don't have the control that they appear to have. So when you know that these negative energies are being warded off by the spiritual dark night of the soul that is happening right now, and the poison that they're turning up from whatever elemental frequencies they can, this is where we're waking up from the sleep, the deep spiritual sleep that people have been in. There were things we were told over the course of the last few years that things were going to have to get a lot nastier before things could get better. Things needed to be destroyed. And what the world is seeing through the last few events between Hawaii and now the North and South Carolina disasters that are happening, we know that this has been manipulated. We know what we have to do to stop their plans. We have to do exactly what they're doing, bending the elements, learning how they are a part of you and all things. Telekinesis, telekinetics, telepathy is necessary right now to get a master on. This is a healing this is the healing power of the deep feminine, where we are processing and clearing this away from the dark cosmic womb, where things will be recreated and reborn. This is a message that total change is coming, and so that a new form can be established. We're not going to know what the new form is going to look like right now, but before we go to sleep, we're awakening the following morning. All the things that we knew once are letting go, and we are waking up from a deep spiritual surrender of restorative energy. This is only happening because we're willing, when we're willing to let go of the attachments to what has been, where we're going through the past and reforming and rewriting stories and rewriting blueprints. This is where the goddess wars off all of the entities and the spirits that flee. And this is where we come face to face with our fears. So that our gifts, that Kalaratri is helping us to become fearless and free in, so that we trust in the protection and the promises that were made as we are being guided along the way, and that we are destined for greatness, and that we're already walking in our destiny. This is where we're releasing ourselves from the dark night of the soul of illusions. But the main message is Kagda, the severing. This is one of my favorite cards because I love the aspect of what it means. Kagda is the wild holy sword of divine severance. Kagda wields the holy sword of divine severance and empowers the soul in radical letting go. She instills the courage to bear the pain of loss and the wisdom to realize, there we go, wisdom, to realize that the secret blessing can only arise when we embrace change. It's what the dragonflies have been telling us all summer. Embrace change and the resilience that comes with it. If we allow ourselves to be still and resilient through the change, riding this frequency of the blue electric storm of this galactic year, from now until next July, we're riding the blue electric storm into clarity, decisions, mastery. This is where our ultimate fulfillment is to not sabotage. While our strength may falter, no sabotage or ultimate fulfillment will prohibit our spiritual progress at this particular time. Kagda allows our souls to be ensnared. She will not allow our souls to be ensnared in any kind of deception or trapped in fear. She is the liberator, and her sword clears the path, revealing truth. Kagda is the Sanskrit word for sword, Devi Kadaskada. Kagda Hasta means the divine mother who wields the sword. What is the sacred weapon? The sword severs, breaks, and destroys. To be a symbol for truth and a need for soul to let something or someone go, even though the attachment of ego may demand that we remain connected out of fear and loss or fear of the pain of loss. Devi Kali's sword is the symbol of her will and attainment. Her sword knows which attachments require severing and when to and how to obtain such a release, even when the holding on, perhaps out of fear, doubt, or guilt. Now that's the Seven of Swords. Seven of Swords. Fear, doubt, self-sabotage. Seven of Swords is also about self-sabotage. Self-inducing illusion. So releasing yourself from that pain is to invest in a relationship, a situation or place or opportunity because we feel it's needed or beneficial, only to realize later that out of all of that we've outgrown it. So it at best becomes our awakening, and our worst is the impediment of our growth. Regressive tendencies creep up on us slowly so that we don't realize how much damage is being done over time. So if we have a sense that something is quite not right, then where that threatens our attachments and the unwavering desire for particular outcomes and the unwillingness to see a truth, so self-denial or denial. When Kali Devi's sword appears in a message, she advises that whatever we're struggling with can and should be handed over to a higher power. Swear you gotta surrender. Trust. Kali will never, Kali Devi's sword, she will sever the threads of attachment and we can trust that if someone or something is meant to remain in our lives or return according to divine love and wisdom, so shall it be. So shall it be. She will not only remove that impediment on your path, but support you in the release that brings you joy rather than endless sorrow. That's where they talked about the vision of sorrow, right? And the shadow of wrath and vengeance. Sorrow only comes from wrath and vengeance. Tower. Of exciting intelligence. Things that bring chaos. The vision of sorrow. Cognitive denotes divine workings in a struggle that you're moving through at this time. There is a predestined series of events due to occur as orchestrated at a higher level. The timing will incorporate the past of those that you have soul contracts with. And the movement of collective consciousness for you to be the appropriate vibration to move in harmony with where you need to be and whom you need to be interacting with. Certain releases have to take place now. You can trust in the doors that close just as much as the doors that will open as a result. Beloved Divine Mother Kali, Devi Kadagasta, you wield the divine sword of protection that severs attachments and allows for spiritual progress and freedom for the heart to find and express divine fulfillment. May the process of letting go bring me peace and receptivity to the great blessings you generously bestow upon me for the spiritual benefit of all beings. Jai Macaulay. I swear I feel like it's a Mercury retrograde. I can't talk. Save my life. Sorry. So when you meditate in Savasana or corpse pose, lying down on your back with your arms and legs slightly apart, this can be done in a darkened room, and that's optimal, or rest an eye pillow or lightweight scarf over your eyes. When you seat in this meditation, or however you prefer, notice your breath and allow yourself physically and emotionally and mentally to let go and become pleasantly heavy and relaxed. You may sense stillness or begin to notice pain or tension as you become more present, but be with it, whatever is happening, without judgment, as you continue to breathe in and out. So as you rest and let go, you're allowing for the grace of Kali Ma to gently and firmly clear and support your being. So if you guys are feeling those bone pains right now because of this 48th gene key activation, if it is affecting your bone marrow and it makes your bones hurt, if your bones are hurting right now, this would be a good yoga pose to use to release, okay, or clear, move the energy. So if you sense you're unable to get at a deeper level, be kind to yourself. Kali's patience is unending. So she knows that when you've had enough of the pain and you'll be ready for her grace. And until that time, you are learning. So rest here for as long as is best for you. And when you're ready to complete this process, slowly arise, place your hands in prayer, and bow your head and honor the divine wisdom temple of Kali that exists within your heart. Shama Kali. Om Kali. Om Kali. Mahadevi. Om Cream Cream Shreem Cream. This has been a pleasure, guys. I'm hoping to get back more consistently to my channel messages, to the Gene Keys weekly activations, see what's going on the pulse, which is what this is, like what's going on in the pulse frequency of things. Once a week, I'm going to have more content coming towards you soon. I'm going to start doing some voice meditations for you guys to share on my channel for those of you that need help meditating, clearing energy on a quantum level. My voice activations can really help through that, through subliminal messages. So I'm going to start putting some of that kind of content together for you guys to heal through subliminals. But I will look forward to seeing you guys again in the next few days. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. If you have found that this message has helped you or have helped you or will help you, or if you feel like this message resonated and you'd like to share with others, that's all I ask. Just share with others. Please share it out. Just please share the information. I'm excited about gene keys and DNA. Let's get excited about blueprints. If you know other people that can get excited, just share this out. Just share it out. I don't ask you to like, share, or I don't ask you to subscribe to my channel. If you don't want to subscribe, you don't have to. But if you find this message and it resonates and you feel like other people could use it, by all means. This is the way that I help you through the codon mandala activations, but also how I help you understand the omniscience behind the mandala effect. So this is Quantum Alchemy. Welcome to my channel, Exotic Lotus Alchemy. My name is Mojo. It's a pleasure to serve you and to be devoted in service to the isness of creation. I love you guys, and until next time, I hope you guys have a beautiful and blessed week. And please remember that while all the shadows of the 64 ways run amok, there are also 64 gifts and 64 ways to be absolutely, utterly, uniquely supernatural. And don't forget, you're just another fractal aspect of God, playing God with the rest of us here on this Manoff field. We're all in it together, and there is no right or wrong. So just remember to be still. Listen to your body this week. Listen to those breaths and what your body is responding to you about, because it always has something to say if you just listen. So if you need anything, remember that you can book a session with me through pearlofthesea13@gmail.com. Message me through Instagram, Facebook, or any of the other social media platforms. I'm on them. Come find me. Book your blueprint session. Start diving into the universe and the knowing of the God that exists within you. So I can't wait. I'm here for you. We're all here in this together, and we're all right on time. I love you guys so much.